Welcome to this video on the 3 spheres of true intimacy and thriving partnership. I'm your host, Mark Michael Lewis, the profitability coach and host of the Becoming an Ayn Rand Hero podcast. In this video, I want to show you how to understand the symbol at the center of my logo, this tool that I call the 3 spheres to true intimacy and thriving partnership, which is a Venn diagram with 7 colors or areas of relationship. Once you understand this diagram, all kinds of issues and challenges in relationship are suddenly going to make sense to you. This is an extraordinary tool for how to bring reality to your partnerships in a way that creates intimacy and teamwork. So let's start by building this diagram from the ground up. First, let's notice that it's where 3 spheres intersect with one another. And if we cut it in half, we can see where the spheres overlap in a Venn diagram, where each color in the diagram represents a different relationship between your experience, your partner's experience, and reality in a way that allows you to avoid common challenges and build true intimacy and thriving partnership. Let's take the pieces apart and examine them one by one and then in combinations. First, let's look at the spheres themselves. We have the blue sphere, which is your personal reality, the red sphere, which represents another person's personal reality, and the yellow sphere, which represents objective reality. And I'll explain these terms more as we get into it. Let's start by looking at the relationship between personal reality and objective reality. The blue sphere of personal reality represents what you believe to be true about reality. This is your personal experience of reality, what you think reality is. And let's contrast that with the yellow sphere of objective reality, which is what's actually going on in reality. For example, you either have enough gas in your tank to make it to work and back, or you don't. That's the objective reality. Now, when we overlap personal reality with objective reality, we get this green area that I call your personal power, which represents the space where what you think is true actually is true. Your understanding of reality is consistent with what reality actually is, which gives you power to make things happen. Because you can make plans based on reality and they actually work. You think you have enough gas to get to work and back, and you actually have enough gas, and so you get to work and back. That's what we call personal power, because you can make plans that actually work in the real world. And if the green area represents personal power, then this blue area now represents personal delusion. This blue area is where your beliefs about reality are not consistent with how reality actually is. This blue area of personal delusion is where you think you're right about reality, but you're wrong. You are deluded. You think you have enough gas to get to work and back, but you don't, and so you run out of gas on the way. This area makes life really difficult, because your plans aren't based in reality, and so they don't work, and so your reality doesn't work, your life doesn't work, because you're acting from personal delusion rather than from personal power. And yes, you might note that blue is much bigger than green in this diagram, and that's not accidental. A lot of the stuff that we think we know just ain't so, as Mark Twain put it. Now, let's look at the red sphere in this diagram, the sphere of the other person's personal reality, or the other's reality. This is what your partner or another person thinks is true about reality. And again, let's see how that relates to objective reality. Where the other's reality overlaps with objective reality, that's the other person's personal power. This is where their understanding of reality actually fits and is consistent with reality as it really is. This is where they have personal power because they can make plans that are built in reality, and therefore when they act on them, they actually work. And something to think about, the more personal power that your partner has, the more they'll be able to contribute real value to the partnership. In the same way that the more personal power that you have, the more you can contribute to the partnership. And again, when we shift to the red part in this diagram now, the red is the other's delusion. This is where they think they know something, but they're wrong. They're deluded. And because of that, their plans don't work and they end up making mistakes and their life gets difficult in areas where they're acting from their personal delusion. All right, now let's look at how your personal reality and the other's reality overlap. We call this space of overlap shared reality because both you and the other person believe something to be true. You share that view of reality. Shared reality is about your agreement with other people. Okay, so far we've looked at the three spheres individually and shown how they fit together. Now, let's look at what happens when we bring all three spheres together. We'll start again with where your personal reality overlaps objective reality. But notice, there's a new white area in the center of the diagram, and we'll explain what that means shortly. For now, just notice that the area of personal power contains both green and white. And similarly, notice that your personal delusion now contains both blue and purple. And when we look at the other's reality, we'll notice the same pattern. The other's personal power contains both orange and that same white, while the other's delusion contains both red and that same purple. And last for now, let's look at shared reality and notice that it's made up of both purple and white areas, which we'll explain in just a moment. So here's what it looks like all together, all 7 colors. Now, let's examine what the purple and white represent in this area of shared reality. Notice that the purple area does not overlap with objective reality. It's the area of our shared delusion, where you and your partner both agree about something and you're both wrong. Your mutual understanding is inconsistent with reality. Your shared reality isn't. You're both deluded about reality. In fact, you're probably mutually reinforcing one another's delusions. When you take actions from this place of shared delusion, you will predictably make choices that end up blowing up in your face and negatively impacting your partnership. Oops. This shared delusion is one of the most dangerous aspects of partnership. And to help understand that, let's contrast it with the white area, which we'll call, not creatively, shared objective reality. This is the heart of functioning, joyous, and loving partnership that gets better and better through time. Shared objective reality is where you and the other person both believe something to be true, and it is true. This is a place of shared power. Because you're both in agreement and consistent with reality, you can make increasingly complex and ambitious plans as a team and successfully make those plans work because they're built in shared objective reality. And the more that you do this, the more that you grow together in teamwork and power and mutual respect. Another useful term for shared objective reality is intimacy, where you and your partner come to know things about one another which are true. Intimacy is where you know the reality of one another and accept one another as you are, including your desire to get better. This is where all the power and the goodies and the honor is in partnership. So, here are the 7 areas of the 3 spheres of thriving partnership. There's the blue sphere, which contains personal delusion and shared delusion, as well as personal power and shared objective reality or shared power. That is, you could say, what you bring to the party. Similarly, you have the red sphere, which includes your partner's delusion and your shared delusion, as well as their personal power and their contribution to your shared objective reality or shared power. This is what they bring to the party. By using this diagram and these ideas, you can help sort through some of the challenges that might get in your way and capitalize on the opportunities to create increasingly beautiful and rewarding results in your real life, your relationships, your business, your family, your communities. And in future videos in this series, I'll be expanding on just how you can do that. For now, again, I'm Mark Michael Lewis, the profitability coach and host of Becoming an Ayn Rand Hero podcast. And I'd like to leave you with a request. Make your deepest happiness your highest priority.